You're listening to the Coop Homeschool Podcast.
This is your podcast for community, humility, and joyful fun in homeschooling. I'm Mandy.
I'm Jessica.
And this is
The Coop. Today's episode is Homeschool Hack, Add Novelty.
Oh.
So this episode is just about finding ways that you can help your kids with focus and attention. So I have this great hack for us about adding novelty and maybe not in the ways that you think.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be fun. I'm excited to learn.
Excellent. So before we jump in, Mandy, what's your scoop on the coop?
Okay, scoop on the coop. Let me say the most important one.
Okay.
We are in our jammies. If you're watching the YouTube, you're gonna wonder
what?
Yeah, because it's fall and we're enjoying being in jammies, and we're gonna watch a movie after this with the fire and Trader Joe ice cream sandwiches, which you didn't want.
Sorry.
But and a yummy chocolate bar too.
Yes.
Yeah. So those are the types of fun things we do.
That's right. And we have some pumpkin spice cider.
Oh yeah, that's exciting.
It was so delicious.
Yeah,
okay.
It is. Okay, so my scoop, actual scoop is that my kids are super excited to start Radish Kids. So I've been talking about doing Radish Kids this year during our planning session because we're learning about the body, and now we have 3 boxes already here waiting for us to start.
Awesome.
So we opened it up. They wrote their names on their aprons, and we looked through 2 of them. They chose which one they wanted to do first, and now we're going to just do the shopping list and get going. But I'm excited because when kids cook stuff, they're more willing to try stuff.
Totally.
So we're going to do the October one, which is it's got ghoulish goulash. And it's got a really fun cinnamony dessert. Nice. I forgot what that was called. And then they also have a special kind of toast as well.
That's awesome.
So I think it'll be really fun, and get them more in the kitchen and spreading their tasting wings.
Yeah. Okay. What was your tool for this month's box?
Okay, so the Korea one that they didn't choose was a dumpling maker.
Right. The press.
Yeah. And then the cinnamon dessert must be, for October, must be ice cream because it's an actual ice cream scooper.
Oh, cute.
So it must be some type of ice cream.
Is it still green?
It's still green. Yeah, and so each kid gets a tool, and so they were super saying, well, this one's mine. I'm putting it back in the box this way. And I was like, no, we're going to label them or write our names on it with Sharpies, and I'm going to clear out one of our kitchen drawers.
Oh, nice.
And as these boxes come in, they have tools. They're going to have a kitchen drawer all to themselves.
That's
and
awesome.
I think I'm going to let them lay paper that they all want as the shelf liner or the drawer liner, and that'll be fun.
Yeah, if you haven't done Radish Kids, the tools that they give you in the box are actually nice quality, and they have taken over some of the tools that I registered for on my wedding because I like them better.
Yeah, and they're kid-friendly, and they're fun, and I just like that the kids will feel ownership over their own kitchen tools, and then it's something they can have later on, like when they go off to college. It's like, let me scoop up my dumpling maker.
Totally.
I'm gonna make. Oh, and then the badges.
Right.
So we've done badges as like that I got from the Girl Scout store whenever we would do trips and stuff. Right. And this is a few years ago now because it broke my heart that they weren't doing Scouts,
right?
Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, and it was just too hard. So I did my own badges, did my own scouting stuff, did my own requirements to earn their badges, and now they get to do it again.
It's so cool.
Yeah. All right, so what's your scoop?
My scoop is that I'm taking yet another class.
That's awesome.
So, depending on how you watch these episodes in order or not, it may seem like I'm always taking one, but I'm not.
Well, I think it's really good that we're always filling our cup.
Yeah.
You know, and how can we keep giving if we're not receiving?
Exactly. And it's a slow work in progress for me to work towards my certificate in dance education. And I couldn't pass up this class. I'm pretty sure it literally was made for me. It's a brand new class that the National Dance Education Organization put out this semester, and it's called The Dancing Brain.
That's so cool.
And if you've listened to me talk at all about my passion for dance education, it really comes down to understanding child development, knowing what to give children that is appropriate, that reaches their social emotional learning skills and helps develop all these amazing things through dance education.
That's so cool.
So the title of the book is called Thinking with a Dancing Brain, Embodying Neuroscience.
I love it.
I love that they use the word embodying neuroscience.
Oh, clever.
So it's not just about dance, but they do find ways to make it, focus back on dance, taking these concepts of neuroscience and all of that stuff.
And can you get that on Amazon? We can link it in
Oh,
our
yes.
podcast
I did
page?
get it on Amazon.
Okay.
And my professor is actually Dr. Rima Faber, and she's
She's the
the
author?
co-author. Mm-hmm. So we'll link this in our show notes for you. And this may have slightly inspired this particular homeschool hack for you guys.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm excited to learn about it. But one thing we do need to cut to real quick
Yes.
is, dun, 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 we will not be podcasting next week because it's Thanksgiving week and nobody listens that week, actually.
Right.
So,
historically,
yeah.
the numbers show that none of you are tuning in on Thanksgiving week, which is great.
yeah, it's time for your family and not time for us, although we'd love to be part of it.
Totally. So we do pre-record our episodes just to make sure that we have things prepared and that life doesn't get too far into the way. But now it means we're not doing all of the posting and double checking and all the emails and all the stuff that week.
Yeah,
So
getting all
that's
your
nice.
questions, the endless questions.
Always.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready? All right, let's jump in. So this is our homeschool hack. It's the first homeschool hack that we're doing. And I was really inspired to talk about this, and it's adding novelty. And specifically adding novelty to improve focus and engage attention.
Which every child and even adult needs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about it, and I started to think, have you ever seen how excited your kids get and how engaged they are over a new toy, a new Radish
set.
Kids box?
A Radish Kids box, yeah.
A new Lego set.
Yeah.
A new friend. Sometimes they're so obsessed with a new friend that that's all they can do. Or a new activity, gymnastics, and here they are flipping everywhere all the time. And those can really captivate a child. And it's amazing sometimes how long it holds their attention. Whereas you ask them, you wait for the right opportunity and you ask them to sit down. Let's do math. It's only 10 minutes. And you can't get them to do a single thing. Right? Like
Yeah.
their focus goes here and there and everywhere.
Yeah. One of my
So-
children can play golf for hours and hours, but then, being in one place for more than 30 minutes is work.
His limit is
Yeah.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so while that's a relatively normal limit, these other things are novelties. So that is exciting. Novelty is something that's new, original, or unusual. It's something kind of outside what they have in their regular routine. And so this novelty changes things in the brain. And so this is where I found it really fascinating. So novelty engages the reticular activating system.
Oh, what is that, scientist
This
Jessica?
system is a group of nuclei at the top of the brainstem, which triggers arousal, which is the first stage in paying attention.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we can apply that in our adult lives, too, if
Totally.
I may so myself.
It's true. It's amazing how you literally tune everything out when something starts to arouse you in whatever context that word speaks to you.
Right, yeah.
But even in children, I mean, for my 3-year-old, a TV, he hears a screen or he hears something that sounds like a screen, boom, everything doesn't exist around him
Definitely.
and he wants to go to it. It's not even a novelty anymore, really, but it's something that has aroused his, inner, his attention. So.
Well, I barely ever hear a can of soda pop open anymore. And so when I'm at a certain person's house and they open their Diet Coke and I hear it, I'm like, oh, my mouth starts watering, like
a Pavlovian response to a soda can opening.
Yeah, but it is
so
a novelty because I don't even have cans of that here. So,
Right.
but I still have like, ooh,
Right.
yeah, where's that coming
So-
from? I want one.
That arousal comes from an increase in dopamine, and serotonin. It's trying to combine the two words. So
Mash up.
dopamine is a neurotransmitter. So it's what fires different things and helps one thing go to the next place in the brain. And it is associated with satisfaction and pleasure, which leads to paying attention. And it's often produced when engaged in physical activity and active learning.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, what did I do? So this is not about the novelty aspect, but about the dopamine aspect.
Right.
When we were doing an activity and my son wasn't particularly interested and he was about to fall asleep on the couch, and I said, why don't you go play your ball game on the front driveway? And I knew that would give him energy to come back and then be part of the experience.
Exactly.
And it did.
It's amazing because it doesn't always have to be novel, in fact, but just the act of some physical activity increases dopamine to a level that allows our body to feel pleasure and therefore start to pay attention.
Yeah.
And then serotonin is another neurotransmitter, and this one regulates mood. So it's often associated with the negative aspects of mood, like depression and anxiety. There's food consumption, like people tend, when they're low serotonin, they tend to eat more and that kind of thing. And so these novelties, they actually increase serotonin, which leads to a better mood, happier mood, and can actually alleviate some of those negative side effects of low serotonin. So it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
And then what happens is, with the increase of dopamine and serotonin, we have improved executive function. And executive function, this is one of my favorites. This is what is really the key to why this is such a great hack. Executive function is high-level processes of the frontal lobes of the brain, including inhibiting inappropriate behavior, planning and selecting actions, and holding information in the mind. So it actually helps us focus in, pay attention, get rid of some of the negative behaviors that
because you're now aroused in a way that makes you want to focus.
Right. You're not being destructive or distracting and other types of...
Because when kids are distracting, aren't they trying to find their own way of increasing, of finding novelty?
Right.
So they're watching something happen they've never seen before. They're distracted, or they're playing with something they haven't played with before. Because they're trying to make their own arousal.
Right. It's a little bit of that. And it's also a little bit of the fact that most of us tend to be multitaskers. And so if something is not holding our singular focus, our singular attention, our brains are going elsewhere. So when kids are feeling, we would usually use the word bored, right? When they're not singularly focused on the activity or the lesson at hand, they're going to naturally start to multitask. And this happens to adults in the form of, this work email I'm writing, I'm not very engaged in it. So I'm going to check that text that just came in. You get distracted by all these things because you are not singularly focused. And I actually learned about this through a TEDx talk by Marvin Chun, and it's called "What Makes Some Brains More Focused Than Others." And the key takeaway is that novelty helps provide singular focus. And he talks about other ways that you can provide singular focus, because we can't live our lives constantly providing ourselves with novelty, throughout the day. But finding ways to relax. So if it is music, if it's not distracting to you to have calming music on in the background, relax. He does mention using yoga or other forms of meditation to help with that relaxation as well, which is interesting because my focus is the physical activity aspect of novelty and helping with focus. And so that's just another way to help relax, because you're so tuned in with this, you start to relax the brain to tune in on whatever you're going to do next. He suggests really unitasking instead of multitasking. So he's talking more about the purposeful multitasking. Don't try to do so much at once. And I'm super guilty of this all the time. I'm always like, what can I get done all at the same time? And then it turns out I'm not very productive at any one of those things. And so the unitasking is a super important thing. Find a way to tune into one task until it's complete or until a stopping point. So if you're setting a timer for this task, weeding the garden for 1 hour, that's a completable, singularly focused task. And so he's suggesting that the brain functions best in that state of mind, singularly focused. When it starts to be pulled in too many places, we get distracted.
Well, and then you're more present.
Right.
I mean, how many times are we all frustrated with each other because we're not present and we're trying to do too many things at once. And then our kids notice that even more.
Right. And I mean, it's pretty clear how distracted we are in general as a society because of our mobile devices and all the things right at our fingertips. You know, when you used to have to wait to go home to check your AOL, you know, it wasn't distracting you.
Well, when I worked in business, I actually they didn't have a way to have your work email be at home.
Right.
So I could only answer work email at work.
Right.
And then
Done. You
only
leave
if
and
someone
that's
called me and had a question could I actually, you know, talk to them about.
Right. So it wasn't following you everywhere. And now we're all trying to balance the work emails, you know, running a podcast, you know, running an Instagram page, you know, they all bleed together, and I'm not often singularly focused, which is actually not great for my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then his final point was to simplify the task. So try focusing on one aspect of a task at a time. So if you're weeding, you know, think about maybe one area at a time. That would be one part of the task so that you have a goal and it's easier to reach. So kind of like splitting things into small pieces.
And then you would feel such a sense of accomplishment.
Right. And he actually used this video that went around a couple years ago, maybe, that was a really cool, what does the brain do? So there's a video that you watch, and it's a dozen basketball players passing a ball or a couple balls, and it says, you know, count how many times the players pass the ball. So that's the task that you're given. That's the prompt.
Yeah.
So you do it, and you're doing that. And then he says, now watch it again, and don't be distracted by the ball.
Yeah.
So you watch it the second time. There is a guy who comes out in a costume. I don't remember what the costume is now, but he's out there dancing behind all of the basketball players.
And it's completely obvious.
It's completely obvious unless you've given your brain a singular task to count the basketballs.
Yeah.
So our brains have this naturally amazing ability to tune out things that you aren't focused on.
Yeah.
And so what you need to do is give it a task.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. I remember, I think I played that for the spouse, and that was really fun to watch and see, like, you didn't even see the guy walk across the court.
So do it to your children. We'll have the link here in our show notes.
Yeah.
So find that video, play it for your kids, and just watch and see what happens. I mean, do it for yourself first.
Yeah.
But now you know the tricks. So
yeah. Now you're going to see it.
Now you know.
Spoiler alert.
We didn't plan that. So these are reasons why the new fun things can be in really engaging and can hold a kid's attention for a long time, because it does all this in the brain. And that's an amazing thing. But how long before it starts to wear off? You know, eventually.
I can't have them open Radish Kids every day and have it work
every day.
Yeah,
no,
or go out and hit a ball around and have it work all the time. Yeah.
Eventually the novelty wears off. And here's what I think is it's because when we allow things to be the novelty, that's the slippery slope that we're on. So what I'm suggesting as the hack is do novel physical activities.
Oh, I love it.
And they vary. And they can be elaborate, they can be simple, they can be 30 minutes, or they could be 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But being able to recognize where you want your child to be focused and paying attention, and to intervene with something that's a novelty before there's frustration involved and before you feel like it's a discipline issue. You know, it's normal that our brains do this. Our adult brains do it, and we shouldn't be punishing children or shaming them for not being able to focus on something.
It's true.
It's because their brains literally aren't able to do that at the moment. And now some of it does take self-discipline. Executive function is an important aspect of that. And so there's ways that we need to work on our executive function. And so we need to be active in that. So for children, this is a wonderful idea. And so some of my favorites are action dice, because I like to have 3 of them at a time. And so they're 6-sided soft dice that have plastic sleeves where you can slip cards into.
Are we going to link that here?
We are going to link it for you. So I like to give a different type of prompt on each of the dice. One is maybe a physical direction, forward, backward, sideways, diagonal.
Do you have that as a printable download? Like we could load on the... Why don't we do that? And then if they get the actual dice that we recommend, they could print your
Yeah.
download and cut them out and put them in. Okay.
We'll link that for you too. And then, so we have the directions, and then we have the action. Do they skip? Do they walk? Do they hop? You know, do they crawl? And so you vary the action, and then you have to do a speed, or not have to, but the other one to pair it with is a speed. So are they doing this thing slow, fast, medium, or varied? Do you want them to go a little slow and then a little fast? And
Well, I've seen the kids play this, and they love it, and they
for
don't
sure.
want it to end. And it's not
No.
like you'd be doing it every day.
No.
You're varying it. You're
Right.
keeping it a novel exercise, right?
Exactly. So it's wonderful to have a list. This will be another digital download for you, is a list of some of my favorite ideas. So what you would want to do is maybe utilize these ideas, space them out, spread them out, add in some of your own. This amazing book called Attention Games by Barbara Scher has some great physical activities that are broken down by age groups.
That's
as young
awesome.
as newborn. So she's got infant ones and 0 to 3, and so it's fantastic. She's got some great suggestions in there. One of my favorites was actually being able to give your child an opportunity to stay engaged with their learning while you do it. So you would take turns standing behind each other, and the person in the back would draw a letter on the other person's back.
Oh, fun. Yeah.
And so then you would have to guess what that letter was based on the sensation of touch. And so that's it's exciting so much in the brain. You've got the physical touch and the proprioception, and then, you know, the trying to think and interpret information, and it's novelty. You know,
Well,
how often do we do that?
I used to do that when I would have a friend sleepover, and we would do that on our backs at night. Like, see if you can tell what this word is.
Oh, how funny.
And
Yeah.
they would spell it out on your back, and then you'd guess, and they'd say, no, let me do it again. And you
Right.
love them doing it again because it feels good. You know?
Totally.
And then
Yeah.
once you figured out, then you'd flip sides and do that. And so for people who are learning to spell or sound out one letter at a time would actually be really fun.
Exactly.
Sensory experience.
Yeah. So I love that activity that she suggested. It reminded me of one you were talking about for tracking with the eyes, having your child lay down on her back and then having a box or a bin of different items, and then say, okay, without looking, reach behind and grab something and see if you can tell what it is before you bring it up over your head. So the idea is that they're using their eyes to track, vertical tracking, with which helps with reading.
And you can do it on an exercise ball too,
Yes.
if you have a big exercise ball, or just like on a armoire, where if you want to stretch their back a little bit too. Yeah.
So there's a lot of really cool ideas like that. My purse.
Ottoman, not armoire.
I was thinking that's
an armoire.
Whatever floats your boat.
Climb the armoire and then ottoman.
That's better. Don't do an armoire. My total favorite for maximum fun is obstacle course. And so this is one that you can vary as well. Kind of like the action dice, you can put different things in there. It could be thematic. We did it for our Halloween party.
They loved it.
And then, so the obstacle course is super unique. So you can engage them by asking them to build it with you, asking them what they want to do, give them a specific task. You get the things to climb on. I'm going to set up what we do on the ground.
How fun.
And
it gives them ownership.
it gives them ownership. And so the obstacle course is a great way to get them to think. It engages their spatial perceptions as well, so it can really improve that ability. And then they do it.
Yeah.
And they can, you know, if you want the challenge, I think you said that your kids love the challenge of being timed.
Yeah.
Who can get through the obstacle course the fastest. You could incorporate some kind of throw a ball into a bucket aspect and see who can get their ball in the bucket with the least amount of throws.
Or the most in a minute.
Right, the most
If
in
you
a
have
minute.
a bunch of wiffle balls or something.
Right, bean bags, any of that.
Yeah.
We did a Harry Potter themed obstacle course where they had to ride a broomstick, keep it between their legs without touching, and then weave in and out of cones. And of course, you don't have to have cones. You can set up stuffed animals.
Yeah.
You could set up plastic bowls,
Yeah.
anything. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. You don't have to have special equipment. So the best part about the physical activities as a novelty is that they're inexpensive and the ideas are endless.
Yeah, and then who knows what they'll recreate on their own, you know, when they're feeling bored.
Right.
They could be like, we now know how to do an obstacle course.
Right.
Let's do it.
One that I like in my dance class, because I'm teaching them to be performers, because dance is a performing art. If your kids are naturally performers, give them an opportunity to perform something.
Oh, fun.
If they want to do it as a group, great. If they want to do individual performances, fantastic. Give them some time, because even autonomy stimulates the motivated side, or the motivating part of the brain.
Yeah.
And so having motivation really increases attention and focus as well. So when they have both autonomy and this motivation to do something that they like, they're really going to start paying attention. And so if you get really creative, is there a lesson that you can use with that, or incorporate some of your learning for the day into this activity as well? You know, so it does take a lot to get creative and to utilize those opportunities well. But ultimately, after a novelty or a novel physical activity, your kids' focus will already be engaged, and it may be a great opportunity to begin a lesson and hope that they're able to maintain that focus.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I'll list a few more of my favorites for you on our digital download. In the show notes as well, we'll do a quick little bullet point. But the digital download will give you more ideas, more variations. That way it's not just one item, it's multiple ways of doing this item.
Well, I remember just in the beginning of the school year, I was really into doing something like that. And it was, you use your hand, like 5 push-ups, 5 sit-ups,
Oh, nice.
5 jumping jacks, 5 wall sits, and 5 squats or something.
Totally.
And my son totally got into it. Like, he was just like, oh, let's see who can do, and it literally takes a minute or two to do all that, and then got me active. And
it's not a big part of your day. It's not meant to be a multi-hour thing. It's just a brief thing that can provide so much for their little brain.
And now they're ready to sit down again because they got the wiggles out.
And then you did brain dance one day this semester,
our
this
first
year?
day of school. That's what we did. And I actually meant to do it once a week, and I want to get back to that. And I've already gotten lazy, and we're 2 months in.
Maybe you'll be re-inspired now.
Yeah, totally. And but I think the brain dance video that you did with our kids, it's 12 minutes long. And my kids love it. They really enjoy it. It gets us going.
And it wasn't even new to them when we did it. They'd been doing it with me for a couple years every year at dance camp. Because it's such a great warm-up. And then I used different music and themes when we would do it to vary for the dance camp. So it wasn't just the exact music in the YouTube video. So then there was a novel aspect to it. Is I went and I themed it and made it more fun and exciting. So,
well, that was a novel sound we just heard. I'm sure if anyone was falling asleep, they just woke up to their alarm.
To my timer. Sorry. We talk more about the brain dance and how I created it and where that concept came from. It's another benefit of me taking these adult education courses.
It is.
But we talk about that in episode 31, Music and Movement.
Well, that sounds awesome.
So add some novelty. I really think that that's a hack that will bring some amazing benefit to your homeschool.
I'm, every once in a while you hear about, like, send your kids out to go ride a bike in a circle for a few times and come back in, but you wouldn't do that every time. It needs to be novel. And I think that was the disconnect that I didn't realize. Like, it needs to be, I could send them out to do that again maybe a month from now, right?
Totally.
But and have it be almost like a surprise, right?
Hey, which thing is it today?
That we're gonna do this today, right? And that's fun and exciting, and at least gets them moving, gets the blood flowing.
Totally. So maybe someday I'll come up with cards so that you can pick out of a deck which thing to do.
I think you need to do that.
So maybe instead of a digital download, it'll actually be cards that you can print off. You can laminate them if you want to. And it's almost like a little deck of cards, and then you can pull one out. And so if it's an obstacle course, you can make
You definitely should do that. And then they can laminate it if they want to.
Totally.
So I noticed too, my laminator has a corner cutter and it rounds the corners. I didn't know that. I just saw it the other day and I've had this laminator for years.
What?
There's a corner rounder on it.
Okay,
Check yours.
I'll have to see. Well,
I'm
mine's
like, wow,
falling
that
apart.
would've-
I need a new one anyway.
Okay, we'll have to look at it right after
Yes.
this. I saw it and I was
Game
like,
changer.
what in the world? Because I was sometimes rounding them if I knew my little kids
it's
were
pokey.
I know, and sharp. All my flashcards are really sharp. They can cut you. But anyways, yeah, so people could round the corners too, and then it really makes it easy to draw out. And here's the benefit. I'm just going to do a plug. We actually have a lot of these things posted on Teacher Pay Teachers. But that costs money on Teacher Pay Teachers.
Right.
So the benefit of our website is this stuff is free right now for digital downloads. And so you, if I were you, I would take time to look through like our quick start guide. We have a lot of free digital downloads on there.
Totally.
And to look through our theme days, we have digital downloads there. Look at our categories under resources because it's not free for everyone. It's only for those who find our website. And feel free to refer our website and podcast to other people too, because we want to help whoever we can.
Totally.
Yeah.
We're just here to help.
Yeah.
We're having a blast.
We are. Yeah.
But the goal is to be helpful.
Yeah. Think of how much stronger our friendship is. It's
Totally.
pretty awesome.
All right. Well, now it's time for
The Coop Q&A,
where we answer your questions. If you have a question you want answered, please head over to the podcast page on our website, thecoophomeschool.com, or you can email us, mamahens@thecoophomeschool.com. Okay, I've got the question today.
Okay.
What age do you introduce your kids to chores?
Okay. So it has to be chores that are doable for them, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And I think like 2-year-olds even love to help.
Totally.
So I think I started having kids sort their laundry around age 2 or 3, depending on where their development was.
Right.
And that was really easy for them to do because they knew their clothes. And sometimes we made it like a basketball game.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can make it to the pile. Woo!
Right.
You know, and yeah, it takes more time to do laundry that way, but it did help them learn to sort. And now that's a regular thing.
Right.
My youngest is 7, but she's been doing it as a regular thing for years now, and they get paid for that. They don't get an allowance at our house, so if you do a chore, you get paid for it, and it adds up. So we have a little spreadsheet that my daughter made on Canva, and it's laundry. Oh, and they don't get paid for their own laundry. They only get paid for sorting mine and Marcus's laundry.
Right, for being helpful for the family.
So when you're helping the family, we'll pay you right now. As you get older, you won't.
We call them family chores in my house, and then the other chores are just because you're a member of the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and I know Dave Ramsey has something about this on Smart Money, Smart Kids about chores and contributions or however you want to. But I think there's a whole chapter about that, so you can totally check that out on Smart Money, Smart Kids. And but yeah, so my kids, they started young, and then dishes are the youngest only touches the plastic and puts the plastic away, and the silverware, and then the older ones who are 11 and 9. They can reach a little bit, but they still can't reach all the way up where the porcelain bowls go and the glasses. So I like it when they put it on the countertop.
Yes.
But sometimes if I see it needs to be done, I'll just get all those done and be like, okay, it's all yours to do. All the plastic's left, you can do all of it. And then it just makes it go faster. And those are our main chores. And then our what I would call contributions that they don't get paid for. It's usually like, we're going to clean for 30 minutes.
Right.
And I give them each the list. And I think I've talked about that before. Yeah. They each got a list, and then they have to do their list, and we set the timer, and let's see if you can get it all done in 30 minutes. And then, wow, that just saved me an hour and a half, basically.
Right, if you were doing it alone.
Yeah, and so you have to show them how to do it and everything, and they don't get paid for that. And then every once in a while, the front entry is always messy, but every once in a while, I need them to clean it up.
Totally.
And so then I might say 50 cents to do the front entry, or Windex the slider. Now, depending on what kind of chemicals you use, a 3-year-old can Windex your slider.
Sure.
Can Windex your windows. They just are really low, and it won't be efficient, but it's the point. This is going on way too long.
Right.
But I've put a lot of thought into this.
Right.
And we've actually written chores up on the board of which ones should be considered paid for and which ones should be considered contributions and which ones are are novel chores that only happen every once in a while, and how much they think they're worth. So I've included them in the process, which I also think came from Smart Money, Smart Kids as well. But and they could set the price. I'd be like, is that a 50-cent chore or a $1 chore? What do you think? You know, what about you?
I mean, I think that you start them as early as you can, like you said. I mean, I think I remember talking, August is my youngest, and he's 3.5, so it's fresher in my mind. But I'm pretty sure even when he was a really tiny toddler, he'd put a toy back in the box, and we'd be like, "Oh, thank you for cleaning up."
Yeah.
I mean, even as a dance teacher, Miss Jessica, when my kids bring their things back because the instruction says to bring it back, thank you so much. But the encouragement of the chore is important. The encouragement of taking care of your space and that sort of thing. And I think this is a topic that gets very controversial on different social mediums. There's the camp that says, yeah, your kid should do chores. And then there's the other camp that think that that's like child endangerment.
Well, how would they ever learn to take care of a household then when they become an adult?
I won't get into what the comments are, but some people feel very strongly that kids should be kids, and it's almost abuse to make them do the chores that you should be responsible for.
Well, I completely disagree with that.
I completely disagree. And I want to say that when we discussed Dumbing Us Down, Chapter 2 in episode 62, that was a big topic, was protecting children from adulting, and considering adulting, and I'm using air quotes on that word, to be something that's silly and not something that's a part of life, and that kids should be exposed to what adults do.
Yeah.
How would they have a concept of what to do if they've never been exposed to chores?
Well, yeah, I had a friend of mine, her son was going away for camp for a week this summer before his senior year of high school. And he was going to a camp at an Ivy League, even though we're in California, for like an engineering camp or something.
Right.
And he was going to have to do his own, it wasn't for a week, it was for like a month or the summer.
Right.
He was going to have to do his own laundry. And so she said to me, oh yeah, I have to teach him how to do laundry now. And I'm thinking, this 16-year-old boy or 17-year-old boy doesn't know how to do laundry?
Right.
Like what? It was like, and I don't mean to sound judgmental about it, but I was literally in shock.
Right. It's amazing.
And I'm sure there's things that I do and say
we're not
she
perfect.
would say, that she would be in shock about too.
Totally.
You know?
We all have different
gaps.
things.
Yeah, we all have gaps.
You asked us the question.
Yeah.
So these are our answers.
I know.
All right. Anything else about chores?
No, and you got to do what works for your household and your family.
Right.
So, I mean, if you love doing chores and you love having your kids see you doing chores and
being joyful about it,
and then they can hopefully over time develop a compassion where they want to help. Like I can see that approach definitely. Sure. Yeah, and hopefully they do develop that, and maybe there's a unschooling type of teaching that could go with that. Like those, minds could figure out how to do that.
Sure.
But I'm more of just a teller. Like, you need to go, whose turn is it on the chart? Yours to sort my laundry.
Right.
Go do that.
You don't have your favorite shirt to wear? Then let's do the laundry.
Yeah.
Here's how we do it.
Yeah. And here's the thing. They'll say like, why do we have to sort your laundry? Why do we have to take your dish from the table to the countertop? And I'm like, why do I have to go grocery shopping for you? Why do I have to clean up your crumbs underneath your chair? I mean, we are all helping each other and clean it. And sometimes I just need to be reminded.
Right. We're not asking that much of you.
Right.
But we are asking you to be a member of the family, and we look out for each other. We care for each other. We help each other out. Yeah. And it's important.
Yeah. And here's the thing. In our family, guess who plans all the fun? Me. I plan all the fun for the most part. My husband handles most of the sports stuff and he's
outdoorsy. A big part of the fun.
Yeah, But I plan the theme days. I plan the trips. I plan the play dates with friends. I plan the Legolands and the Disneyland. And what I say is, hey, if I don't have time to plan that stuff or even go do that stuff, we don't go do that stuff. So if we have people coming over in 5 days and I know I have to do all the cleaning and all the cooking and all the laundry, then we can't go to Legoland. Right. But if I know you're going to give me like half an hour each day of your time to do that, or give our family that time, then we can go to Legoland.
What we get.
Yeah, look at what we get to do.
It's not about the I. It's about everybody.
Right. Yeah. So, and it's not just about you or me. It's like, look what we get to have as a family. Or you want a family night? Well, we can do that if I'm not stuck in the kitchen.
Right.
Yeah. So
Love it.
a distribution of responsibility, and it would only help them in marriage later on.
Totally.
Like seeing that they have a role to play in their home.
Right. There's chores that I do more often than my husband does.
Mm-hmm.
But when we need to, for any reason, we step in and help each other.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think twice about taking out the trash. If it needs to go, it needs to go.
Oh,
Did I say
don't.
this in another episode?
Yeah.
I feel like we just talked about it.
I do not take out the trash, but
Right.
maybe once in a blue moon, my spouse is chuckling right now.
Right.
I'll take out the trash, but
Right.
and same with the kitty litter.
Right.
Like I
And
don't do the kitty litter, but
my
he doesn't
husband-
make my bed,
Right.
our bed.
My
Like, he
husband
doesn't
knows
do
there's
that.
days where I'm gone the whole day with the kids.
Yeah.
And he'll do the dishes. You
Yeah.
know, because it's about loving each other, honoring each other, and helping each other.
Yeah.
It's helping the household. It's not helping me with the responsibilities that I have to the house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I sometimes cringe when I hear like, oh, help your mother or help mommy or help
Right.
Nana or help. It's like, no, do your responsibility in caring for the home. I love that you said that.
Yeah, it's
Because, yeah.
important. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
And it's always hard. The language doesn't always come out naturally to say it like that, but ultimately that's what we try to tell our kids. So if we say it like, help mom by clearing the table, it's like, oh, no.
No, yeah.
We help each other,
Yeah.
and we help with the work that
Yeah.
everybody is responsible for. Because
Right.
if I'm not there, I don't clear the table, right?
Right.
It does get cleared because it's everybody's responsibility.
Right. Yeah. Don't help mommy by putting your dish away. No, help the family by putting
Right.
your dishes away.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
So there you go. That was a whole podcast.
Yep. We'll have to,
We'll have to
do that
research
another
that.
time.
Yeah.
Chores.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. We love your support. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast, leave a rating and review to let us know how we're doing, and share our podcast with your friends who need a little community, humility, and joyful fun in homeschooling.